Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday the 31st of July. So last day of July. What's in store today then? Not a great deal in terms of news-wise. We've got the Euro CPI, Consumer Price Index, flash estimates coming out there at 10 o'clock. They might get a bit of kicker from there, so I'd be wary of that. Aside of that, I'm just looking. There's no speakers that are programmed on here. This is pretty good with speakers, although speakers speak, don't they? People just come out and speak sometimes. There's no scheduled speakers coming through. Someone asked me the other day what news services do I use. I use Forex Factory as a calendar only because it's clean, but I do use financialjuice.com. Also for the news that comes out. It's quite useful news. You can read, get a catch up on the what's been going on over the Asian session. There's an Asian session catch up normally some point. There you are, Asian market wrap up. You can get these, they're quite useful just to catch up on what's been going on. You normally have some headlines at the top here which are important for the morning. So there you go, quick that's the answer on that one. So let's have a look at the markets then. So we've got little out, but the euro may be affected. Now I'm looking at this euro. I was looking at the potential sell-off and continuation on Friday, as some of you may know, but it never happened. It got so far and rolled back, or bounced I should say, but it does look like it's going to roll again, but I think it's just a case of a bit of patience here. Looking at the daily pivots here, they're just not quite touched. They could be touched. A break of those pivots and maybe the 34 could see us at least coming down towards Friday's lows there, and maybe more, but the pattern seems to be a bit on the softer side for the market, just coming back to days. It's had its bounce off the trend line that was sitting there. If it's going to come back down there, maybe it'll bounce again, but it could at least threaten that line. So looking erring towards the bearish side. There is, of course, with all these markets, a bullish side as well. And the pound US dollar is probably one of the examples of that, although it might be changing because I can see things differently here. I was just looking to see if it got up to the weekly pivot. Sorry, it's just come back to the daily. I didn't really mention. It's a bit of a mess, but it has put a lower high in here. Last Thursday did see the lows taken out. It's put us a lower high in. The short term here, looking at the 4 hourly as well, it's nearly back to its new weekly pivot. It'd be nice if it tapped that, and I would be looking then on the short side. As long as it's sitting below that, I'm a bit more on the short side. You've got this either or here. There's a bit of a flag sitting there on the short term here. The overall picture, well, it's really pointing a bit more southbound, and maybe I should only be selling this, in which case my preference is the break again underneath the pivot. We'll see what happens. If it holds up here and starts moving, well, I might miss it today, but there's opportunities to jump back on. But it's just a higher time frames here. Just look at, as I say, looking at a little bit softer. Yes, we've got the green bar at the moment, but it's at the moment, literally. We've had this lower high come through. It's below its weekly pivot. A push above that will be stronger. It has been pushing up there, but weird old gap here. I'm not too sure if that's across the board on other markets. In fact, let's just have a quick look in terms of. No, you see, it's there. It's just a data. There's some weird data going on. It wasn't gapping. Anyway, it's almost into its R1. With this then continuation possibly towards its R2 if it breaks that R1 would be on the cards. It seems to have moved, well, saying that it moved quite a bit. It's only moved probably halfway so far. Messy old week last week for sure. Really messy, but the overall what I'm picking up here is some softness at the moment technically. Okay, Aussie dollar, it's another one that's a real messy old. I mean, it's had a rally through the Asian session here. It sold off on Friday and held down there, unlike the euro, which saw the bounce, etc. But this, it's into the underside of its weekly pivot at the moment, and again, just really watching this because on the 60-minute it looks a much better flaggy sort of pattern. Again, the data here from FXCM not looking cleanest. What I'm seeing here is the biggish flag sort of pattern there. So we could see a correction and a continuation to the downside. That's my preference on it. I'm not really looking on the long side at the moment. US dollar CAD, oh, what a mess. On the hourlies, what a mess on the dailies. It's stagnant almost. There are some reasonable moves, and it's quite good when you trading the cross pairs with it, because it's not really moving too much, and it's all down to the weakness or strength of the currency you're looking at it against. But it's a difficult one to work out. It looks like it's got potential to drift to the upside some more, which would suggest more dollar strength, which is sort of the theme that's gone through the other currencies here. US dollar, New Zealand, or New Zealand dollar, US dollar even. Let's get it the right way around. Well, this is again put lower highs in, had a bounce through this Asian session so far. Again, really just looking to see if it's got something more. Just like the Aussie, actually the Aussie's done a similar bit of price action here, where it's popped up, pulled back and pushed to give us a bit of a uglier looking flag, but this certainly looks uglier than the Aussie does. Morning, Mike. So yeah, at the moment got potential for, again, my preference is on the downside on many of these markets, really looking from the 4-hourly time zones. US dollar Swissy, I reckon FXCM had a bit of a data problem. It's just well, actually we're okay. It's a daily. It's fine on the daily. The short-term time frames look a bit iffy. Maybe their liquidity providers have given them some duff data. I don't know. But anyway, dollar Swissy. Still looking at this, I'm a little bit more sort of bullish. We saw the double bottom. We've seen the break here, and it's just drifting a little bit. I'm starting to get there. I'm starting to look at the retail traders might start being right. They'll probably close their positions now, and that would be quite nice. So it has got the higher low in there. Just pushing through here. It's relatively looks more on the bullish side than the bearish side at the moment. The bigger time frame, of course, it's, well, arguably it's still in bearish zone, but it has, as I say, what it's done there, divergence and the break. Right, euro yen. Let's just look across a few cross pairs here, and I'm going to just bring them down to 4-hourly here. Well, the euro yen's been pushing up. Yen just, yeah, softest of the lot, and it's just seeing the euro yen push even further bullish. Well, this was a key reversal bar if it's at the bottom or something like this, but it's more of a continuation bar where it's sitting at the moment. So bullish engulfing. Looks like we've got further upside there. Euro pound just for observation here, just looking, continuing to see and be in this rangy old place. There you go. That was a quick answer for that. Going to have to change broker feed here. This FXCM price on the Euro Aussie. Let's see if I can slide down here, and there you go. Get some clean data. It's just coming from the 4-hourly, so the 4-hourly is still ranging on this Euro Aussie. In fact, I've been looking at this for ages for the breakout to the highs here, and it's just not. I mean, it ran through a little bit on Friday, this little bit here, and it's rolled back over again, so it's sort of back in. If it doesn't get all the way down, if it manages to hold halfway up here and starts pushing up, well, maybe next time it'll be more of a push, and actually will break that upside, but it struggled for a lot of the time. Okay, Euro CAD, one of my other faves in terms of trading pairs. It often sets quite nicely. You see the pattern here, lower highs coming through. just a bit like the euro dollar actually. Sorry, I'm going to have to change time. That's it. Change feeds. You see, actually, it's looking like it might get a bounce here off the daily pivot at the moment, but a break below this, it would look more in line with the pattern that was previously there. So having said that, I guess it double bottomed, and a lot of these markets double bottomed on Friday. The euro double bottom there on Friday, a bit earlier on this. Maybe we got some further upside, but it's a mixed bag. It looks to me sort of daily, 4 hourly, still a bit on the bearish side. Okay, we'll have a look at the the pound CAD, the bearish CAD. Consolidated here on the dailies. It's not looking particularly nice either way. There's not a great looking chart at the moment. New Zealand dollar CAD I was looking at a few times last week, and it's, well, I was looking probably at the south side of it, but it's done a bit of a reversal at this stage. It's put a higher low in on the short time frame here on its route through, put a couple of higher lows in. Looking more positive. Maybe we'll see a continuation. It's up to its R2. We'll see in the prior highs there, the pivot that sits up there as well. It's the quarterly pivot. Okay, so not a great deal at the moment. We've got to wait for any euro trades. I'd wait until that flash inflation is out and done and dusted. It may be a lot more sensible waiting for that patience. Okay, so the gold price, what's going on here in gold? Looking a tad on the iffy side here at the moment, but aiming a bit southbound. It had a half decent move, and it had been looking quite good until we saw the dollar strength coming through into last week. Really, it's a euro weakness as much as anything else, but just confirming, it's just more positive. It's the Thursday when the euro data came out that the dollar actually started moving properly. Anyway, this just looks like it could tootle over again from what I can see here. Arguably a bull flag on this time frame, but it's a bit mixed. It's not too dissimilar to a lot of the currencies at this stage. Gold, oil even. I remain bullish on this, but as I said before, I'm not too sure how much further it'll go, but it's been continuing to push up there. Quite a choppy old market last week. Nothing really pushing too well on Friday. Went to the downside initially at 2 o'clock, and I left that. Thought it might have been even rolling some more, so it went off the radar. I was looking for the long side, but nothing setting up then, and getting to 3-4 o'clock I'm not interested. But today we might see a continuation towards its R1, and there's a quarterly pivot sitting up there as well, so might see something a little bit more positive. This quarterly R1 that's sitting up there, so it's not far away. Anyway, might be an attraction. Right, a very quick look through the equity markets. Here's CSI 300. That's just get us onto the dailies, and we've seen this continuation of Friday's sort of shove up through here. Let's just move that. There we go. So up into its R2, reacting to that at the moment. It's all on the hope that I think more help will come from the Chinese government. Anyway, Nikkei, it's followed suit this morning, gapped up, stayed up. It's on the more bullish side of things. It's broken through the highs there again, looking a bit more positive. Nifty 50 hasn't quite closed yet. It did put a lower high in last week, but it's still very largely in this bigger trend. It may just be an ABC correction we see before it continues. I'd be looking more across the break of the trend line from that little short-term downtrend line to see if we've got a break to the upside on that. Aussie 200 there. Gone a bit ugly again. It's hardly running away with things, but well, it's not. A bit ugly. There's better looking markets. S&Ps, E-minis again pushing up into last week in the close up the week. Today just off a little bit at this stage, but it's early doors. The Dow Jones is actually up at the moment, although it's showing it's down, but it gapped. But again, consolidation around these highs here, and I just have to remain bullish on these. I know at this stage I'm sure there'll be a load of people wanting to sell these markets because they have had some decent days up, or weeks up, months up. But just because they're going up doesn't mean to say we should be selling them. And the very fact that interest rates are coming, or increases are coming towards an end, it might be beneficial for the equity markets further. Seems they can do nothing wrong in the last few years in real terms. Anyway, pushing up the Nasdaq at the moment. It's really pushing up. It's not that far away from the last year's highs there. Or did I say last year's? 2021 highs. So getting back up into that sort of territory. Right, switch this back to a daily, otherwise I'm going to confuse my brain. It doesn't take a lot. The DAX, well, it did manage to push on upwards on Friday, and maybe it's starting to break into a bit more of a trend. It's certainly looking cleaner here. For now, we get these, and then we get a lot of this. But at the moment, well, it's got the weekly pivot below. It might be quite a nice buy off the weekly pivot, depending if it bounces or not. So it's had, well, looking at the dailies, it's had its bounce off that, and that's not looking so pretty. So showing some cracks under the surface here. If it breaks the lows here, but well, maybe it might just have a bit more correction. But if the other markets go to the upside, it could easily change. Okay, FTSE. Before someone shouts at me, FTSE just continues to consolidate at the moment. It's sitting around this area. The more it consolidates around these highs, because it's around the highs, the potential is at some stage it will get the surge on there. But of course, we've got the Bank of England coming out this week, or there is a meeting happening this week. Right, and finally, just have a look at what happened. I'm only going to look at Bitcoin itself, so I do apologise if you're looking for something more, but basically it's the same old picture for most of them. I think there might be the odd one that's, and look, I've looked at Ethereum now as well, and Chainlink, and they're all showing very little in the way of real movement. Chainlink seems to have a little bit more dynamic movement in there, but a lot of them are just sort of very much consolidating. We had a little bit of surge look yesterday. The old wow's probably moving in there, just pop and drop anyway. Right, on that cheerful note, as ever, looking at cryptos, I wish you a great week, and a great day, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye for now.